Hi guys, Arwen here. Today I want to talk to you about my past life as Marie. So in 2010 I was driving across the country and I was listening to the Rolling Stones. I had them in the CD player and all these images just started coming into my brain and all of these feelings. And I just started bawling. I just got this entire download into my head of when I had listened to these songs prior in the late 60s, early 70s, and I was having a life as Marie. So over the next few hours, this entire life came into my head. This is one of my most powerful, well, this is one of my first most powerful past life memories. So in that life, I was born in 1948. I had a brother. I lived in Wisconsin. And I wasn't very happy. Like I had like a lot of emotional problems with like my dad, and I was just like mad all the time, and he never let me do what I wanted to do and stuff like that, right? So I was just like always mad at him. And I felt like stifled, and like my parents didn't understand me, and they were just, you know, like hard-headed, and I was like a hippie and a free thinker, and they weren't free thinkers at all, okay? They were the opposite of that at the time, and I felt like they were too responsible and too hardworking, and all I wanted to do was party, basically, in that lifetime. So I ended up getting in the car at 16 with all of my friends who were also in high school. We just decided we were going to drive to California. So we did. We all got in the car and we drove over there. And looking back in that lifetime, like I think I had a job for like 2 months of the entire life, because I died when I was 25. Yeah, I died in 1974. And one of my best friends in the friend group had like received some sort of inheritance, so he had tons of money, and it was like the stipend that would continuously come in. So we actually, all of us were living off the stipend, and we were all hippies, and we had this really old car, and one of us owned the car. I don't remember which one of us it was. It was not me, I do know that. And we just had the best time. We were going to parties all the time. Really, we were living the hippie lifestyle to its extent. Went to California, had a great time. All the things of the era is what we were doing, basically. And at one point in that lifetime, like there was a party, it was a house party. I ended up overdosing, and that is how I died. And I actually remember the entire death, okay? So I had taken some pills, and I don't remember what they were because I was already messed up when I took the pills, and they were like opposites. One did this and one did this, and that wasn't good. And it ended up making me pass away. And I remembered being in that house. I remembered floating up above my body. I remember not being able to get in my body, okay? And then I was standing over it, and when I remembered all this, I was crying. Like, I've already integrated all of the emotions from that lifetime at the time, but at that time, like, it was very emotional for me to, like, remember all of that. I was outside of my body, I was looking down at it, and I realized what I had done. I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident. I was so sorry. I was so sad. And then, like, I watched my friends come in. I watched them freak out because then they realized what had happened. And then nobody could resuscitate me. I couldn't get back in my body. I was trying to get back in my body, and I like could not do it. Okay. So I hovered around for a while. The paramedics, like the ambulance came. They put me in the ambulance and they took me away. I remember standing outside distinctly. Standing outside in the yard with the ambulance and them wheeling me out and watching the entire thing. And then the next thing that came to me, it flashed, and I remembered being back in Wisconsin. My body was shipped back to Wisconsin. And I went to my own funeral with my family members. And I watched everybody. Everybody was crying and so sad and like all of that. And my friends were there, and the friends' parents were there, and it was a debacle. But anyway, I remembered watching my entire funeral, and then, and it was from that point on that I figured, I bet most dead people probably do attend their funeral. I mean, it makes perfect sense. And then after that, I ended up reintegrating into the light and going through. But I felt like that life came to me because I needed to reintegrate and heal Marie's emotions and all the trauma from that death, because it was an accident, didn't mean to do it. And yeah, it was a really healing experience to remember that, to forgive myself for partying all the time and being completely out to lunch. And yeah, it was very healing to like finally like reintegrate her into my body. And then I remembered another lifetime, the lifetime right after that. It was 1975. I was born in Illinois. I was an only child. My mom and dad, let's see, my dad was diagnosed with, I think, bone cancer, but I don't really remember if they knew what that was at the time. I feel like maybe he was misdiagnosed. I can't quite remember, because I died when I was like 7. It was in a car crash. So my dad and I died, and my mom did not. And I really remember we were driving down the road, and my dad had a 2-tone Chevy pickup truck, like a 1978 or 79 maybe, but I'm gonna go with 78 Chevy pickup. And in this life, I always loved those cars. I was always like, those are the coolest cars. And then when I remember that lifetime, and I remember that in that lifetime when I was John, my dad loved those cars, and we had like several. And I realized that my really liking that car had come from that lifetime where I was John and my father loved that car. I loved that car because my father loved that car. So us getting in that accident, we were hit by a semi on the highway, and it was instantaneous. There was no pain. It was just like whoop, out of the body. There we are. We were hovering above. And I just remember being very clear, looking down at what had happened, realizing that it was over, and we both reintegrated into the light. Now, that lifetime, I was always going to die at 7, right? Like I was able to remember before I reincarnated. The reason why I reincarnated was because I wanted to reincarnate with the soul that was my dad. Okay, so he had chosen in that lifetime to get whatever the cancer was that he had, because he needed to learn to be like in his heart space and to have his heart open because it was so closed. So I was able to remember that on a soul level, me and whoever the soul was that was my dad in that lifetime, we had reincarnated together over and over and over and over again. We were really good friends. We had been in a lot of lives where we were like soldiers in Rome, and we were like in combat together and things like that. So it was normal for us to be in like traumatic, difficult situations throughout the hundreds of years that we ended up reincarnating as friends, supporting each other. And when he wanted to start to open up his heart more and really start to feel more, I volunteered of, I'll go with you, I'll be your son, and I'll just be like your energetic support, like energetically, because it, on a soul level, it was really hard for him to go through a life where he had to open up his heart because he had a lot of trauma throughout the, eons of time of reincarnation. So I went with him just because my presence was very calming to him, because we'd reincarnated so many times together. It was like on a soul level, it's very comforting to be with like your soul buddy, you know what I mean? So that's what I was. And so I was always gonna die at 7. I was never supposed to grow up. The whole point was that he would be able to have this experience, but it was going to be necessary for us also both to leave at the same time. And he left obviously in his midlife. He was, I don't know, 40 something, early 40s, and I was 7. And my mother in that lifetime, she also had agreed to be the mother, and also had agreed that she would go through and experience what it would experience to lose the both of us. So that was her choice, because she had, this is on a deep soul level. I'm not saying she remembered this like in the lifetime, okay? But what I am saying is that like on some level she knew that like she chose that she wanted to have the experience of having to like move through the grief and release the grief, because that was going to help her on a soul level move forward as well. And I felt like on a soul level she also was one of the many people that me and the dad had reincarnated with in combat situations many, many times, especially in the Roman Empire. I don't know why the Roman Empire keeps coming back to me. But anyway, that was like the whole purpose of that life. So it wasn't really very sad to remember it, but it was just kind of like this enlightening kind of soul knowing of, okay, well, that was like what the point of that life was. That was why we had all reincarnated together. That was why my dad in that lifetime got sick. That's why we had the car accident, etc. And on a soul level, he was actually really happy with the progress that he made. with opening his heart. And so that was like really positive for him. So he considered the life a success, right? Like he had really moved through a lot of things for him, and it made him realize, you know, what's really important to him and so forth. And I mean, I'm sure he's already gone on and reincarnated into another life now, because then I reincarnated in 1983 as him, who you're looking at right now. So yeah. And I do feel sometimes like I have another parallel incarnation going on right now. And like I live in Chicago, and actually I don't know if I still live in Chicago. Maybe I've moved. But I first became aware of this other aspect of me where I feel like I'm reincarnated at the same time about 10 years ago. And he like had some dead-end job he doesn't like, and he had like a lot of the same like struggles that I do. And it was interesting. It was like on a soul level, I kind of wanted to have two lives where I played out some of the same themes, except one life I chose to do it as like spiritual female, which is this one that you're looking at right now. And then on another level, my soul was like, okay, well now I'm going to go be male. I'm going to go live in the real, even further north than I live right now. And I feel like he sorts out his reality. Like he is spiritual, but it's like in a different way. I feel like he's more into like working out and like does a lot of like physical stuff and sports, things I'm just not into. But it's just a total different orientation of having the same sort of, I feel like he's working through the same life themes, but doing it from a completely different vantage point and having a very sort of different life. I mean, he's also male, so that is a different vantage point as well. So I think that that's kind of cool. And no, I don't desire to meet him, and I don't think that I should. And I don't, like, I'm vaguely aware of him just randomly. Like, I haven't thought about him in like a year or so, maybe more, until I started to make this video. And I don't think it's necessary to meet other aspects of self that are reincarnated at the same time. I don't know what the point would be. I'm not so sure if that's a good idea. I just feel like him having his incarnation is perfect. I don't actually think he's aware of me. I think I'm like awake over here, which is why I'm aware of him. And it's fine. It's just like it's like me being aware of another lifetime. It just happens to be the same time period that I'm in right now. And I don't know how often people reincarnate into two different lifetimes in the same era. I'm not sure. Like, your soul is infinite, so you don't always have to chronologically have your lifetimes match up. Like, oh, I born and then I died and then I was born the next year and then I died. Sometimes people have gaps between, you know, from when they died to when they reincarnate again. And also, I think you can overlap. The soul is infinite, so, you know, you could have one life and then die, but actually be born 10 years before you died in that life as another part of your soul, and then you could die later, you know. I hope that made sense. I hope my pictograms like made sense for you guys. But yeah, I don't know why. I just kind of felt called to share that today. I don't feel like a lot of people are having memories of their past lives, but hey, if you are, maybe this helps you realize you're not weird. You're so normal, because I'm so normal over here. But anyway, I hope that this helped you guys. If you remember any of your past lives, put it in the comments. Let me know down below. Yeah, I like hearing about other people remembering their past lives. I think it's good stuff. The more we can like remember that stuff and be cognizant of it, the more we can like allow ourselves to heal and like be in tune with nature and everything that's going on around us. All right, guys, if you have someone that you think could really use the message that was in this video today, please send them over here and let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and I will see you all in another video.